Hello, this is Dr. Kenny Williamson. Welcome back to another episode of Truth Seekers Radio, formerly known as McKill's Day Chronicles. It's another great day here, and here we are. I wanted to talk a little bit today about something that I have mentioned multiple times. And, I don't know if anybody believes me or not, but I have mentioned many, many times on this show that I personally believe that the last president that we had, so-called president, Biden, was not the real Biden. Okay? I've said this time and time again. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the thing that you see on TV, I'm going to call it the abomination. The abomination that you look at on TV is not the real deal. Okay? And, well, I mean, just like me here. If another person shows up that looks nothing like me, and all of a sudden they claim that it's me, it's probably not me. Okay? So I've done the Biden lookalikes many times. And let's see here. I've got a picture, if you can see this, if it'll show. Here's one right here. Okay? The one on the left is the original Joe Biden from the 70s and 80s and 90s, probably the early 2000s. And then the one on the right is the I don't know what. And that's actually a better picture of him. Completely different person. Okay? There's no doubt, there's no way, I don't see how anybody could look at the two pictures side by side and think for a second that it's the same person. Now, having said that, somebody would be like, well, Kenny, I know that you don't believe it, but you're a conspiracy theorist, see? But what about all the other people that would have to be in on it? I hear this all the time when it comes to fake space, fake satellites, fake astronauts, the whole thing. They say, oh, well, don't you know how many people would have to be in on this? Well, when it comes to NASA, really not that many, because it's compartmentalized where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. Only certain people know certain things. Okay? So how about on this, though? I mean, well, let me just read you what's trending now. This is, let me get it pulled up here. Now, like I said, this is something that I've been talking about for a long time. You can go back and see the episodes in question. So here we are again, and I didn't even come up with this, but I've been following it. And here the other day, it came across on X that there is a fake Biden body double who is coming forward and telling he's supposedly going to turn state's evidence of what they had him doing. Okay? So here's how it plays out. Let me read it to you. Biden body double scandal explodes. An actor who impersonated President Biden for nearly 2 years turns state's evidence against deep state cover-up. So, an actor. Surprised? I don't know why you would be. If you're paying attention, this isn't surprising. I've been saying it for a long time, and lo and behold, the dude shows up. Supposedly. Allegedly. Okay? So, in Washington, D.C., April 28th, 2026. So, that's pretty recent. Yesterday, to be exact, because this is being recorded on the 29th. So, this is not old news. This is just coming out. Okay. The actor hired as Joe Biden's body double has come forward and is turning state's evidence to avoid prison time. Sources close to the FBI investigation confirm. What began as a simple gig, the suspect was hired to stand in one place for 10 minutes, a special agent revealed. So they've hired this guy to stand there as a body double, I guess, when the fake Biden never said anything, right? So they got him standing in the background. They've got a body double. Why they would need a body double, you tell me. Why would you need it? Unless the real guy is gone or sick or something, right? Why would you need it? So this guy was initially hired to stand in one place for 10 minutes. But this little gig quickly spiraled into this same actor pretending to be the president for nearly 2 years. Because the real Biden was so visibly unwell that he could no longer be placed in public without raising alarms, the body double was deployed so frequently that even insiders now admit it's nearly impossible to tell exactly when the real Joe Biden was present and when the actor took over. Okay. That's what that section of the article says. Now, let me help you read between the lines what they're not going to say. Okay, so we know this is happening, and we know there's an actor. Okay, that's a given. This is leading you to believe, yes, Kenny, you were right the whole time. There's been an actor playing Biden. The problem with that is, and this is where we're reading between the lines, right, is we have an actor playing another actor. The real Joe Biden hasn't been around in a long time. So the one that they have pretending to be Joe Biden apparently also needs an actor. So they've got multiple people playing Joe Biden, in other words. So even these people here, it says, even insiders don't know when the body double was deployed. They can't tell the difference. That's because the body double looks like the fake Joe Biden. The real Joe Biden hasn't been seen in many, many years. So what's happened to him? Good question. So all of these guys are fake, including this one. Okay? What I want you to understand is there's not a real Joe Biden. The one that you can see in the videos and stuff from the 80s and 90s and 2000s talking, that guy is no longer around. The Joe Biden they claim is real looks nothing like the real Joe Biden. And so now we have actors imitating the fake Joe Biden. That's what you have to read between these lines. Okay? So, let's go on. This guy was supposedly a birthday party impressionist, is where they found him. So, before long, the former birthday party impressionist was sitting behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office and even taking calls from foreign leaders, according to this whistleblower. A birthday party impressionist ended up the leader of the free world, if only for a few minutes here or there, the actor told investigators. So this actor claims that they literally stuck him in there, and he would even have to possibly answer the phone and pretend to be the president. Now, obviously we know the actor wasn't calling any shots. We have people behind the scenes that are doing all the work, all the fakery, the auto pen, Everything was signed with an auto pen because there is no real person to sign anything. So everything's fake. Everything's phony. We've all known that. I mean, if you have a brain in your head, you should know that. It's all fake, set up junk. These puppets you see, that's what they are. They're just puppets on a string. They're not anything real. Neither was this one. Okay, according to this, it says dozens of West Wing staffers, which is, the president's people over there, they were fully complicit in this elaborate ruse, with sources saying the whole building had to be in on it to keep this deception alive. There you go. There you go, right there. Like I've said before, they're like, well, do you not realize how many people have to be in on it? Do you think those people would lie? Yeah. Are they Democrats? Yeah. Then they're liars. Are they politicians of any kind? Well, yeah. Well, then they're liars. Are they in any type of super high position that don't ever seem to get in any trouble? Yeah. Well, then they're liars. They're devils. So these people here, especially when it comes to lunatic left, they will lie, cheat, steal, kill, anything they can do to stay in power. They're on a power trip. So, yeah, they were in on it. They know when the fakes are coming in, but maybe they don't know that the one they think is real, he's also a fake. Now, do they know that too, or are they too dumb? I don't know. I don't see how they couldn't know it. I think they do. So, it says the scheme allowed the radical left to prop up a clearly incapacitated Biden while pushing their extreme agenda, shielding the public from the truth about his deteriorating condition. Well, hey, he don't have no deteriorating condition that I know of. He's a fake as well. Now, unless the fake they're using has a deteriorating condition. I would guess, based on the looks of the fake, he's ate up with something. He's ate up with the devil, number one. But he looks like death warmed over. He looks like something off Tales of the Crypt. I mean, he can't be about this big around. I mean, little bitty tiny skinny. Legs this big around. It's ridiculous. Stumbling around, walking around, can barely stand up. Looks like a robot. They've got the robots they show you walking around and falling and stumbling. Well, he looks exactly the same way. Paper thin. Legs and arms and stuff so skinny it doesn't even look real. So they've got this freak, if you will, running around, and somehow, some way, in some areas he kind of resembles the original, but obviously he's a body double. But they've got him so made up it's unbelievable. So they've probably injected him with all kinds of stuff, all kinds of plastic surgeries and stuff done to try to facilitate this, facade we're putting on. And he's probably drugged too, God knows what. So he probably is deteriorating. So when their little fake body double, their fake devil comes in and he can't perform, they've got to get a fake for the fake. That's what it boils down to. So, according to this, post here, it says, President Donald Trump has been proven right once again because he has repeatedly warned the American people that Biden was unfit and that a shadowy deep state was running the show behind the scenes. Well, he knows that the one that he's calling Joe Biden is not real. And he himself has even made the statement, I think on True Social, where he said something about, is that even the same Joe Biden? He knows it's not. He's in on it. He's also complicit. Okay? Do you think all these guys don't know that that's a different person? They do. So it's all an act. So they don't ever really fully call anybody out. So even on this right here, they're kind of going to try to discredit Joe Biden by having an actor come forward and say he played Joe Biden. But you're missing the point. There is no Joe Biden. Where is he? The Joe Biden is an actor as well. The original is nowhere to be found. Okay? Okay, let's see. So this explosive scandal exposes the greatest presidential fraud in American history. Well, it's not the greatest. Obama's a pretty big one too, Not even from this country. Fake birth certificates, the whole 9 yards. That's a pretty big fraud as well, wouldn't you say? Let's see. It says... It vindicates every patriot who questioned the bizarre public appearances and obvious signs of something was wrong. Well, that's because it's an actor. Sometimes he's tall, sometimes he's short. It's a different person, okay? With the body double now spilling the beans, calls are growing for full accountability and criminal charges against everyone involved in the cover-up. The American people deserve the truth. Of course. Now, you're never going to get the truth from this, okay? The fact that you're even hearing this, like on my podcast, is probably the most truth you're ever going to get. They're never probably going to tell you who this actor is or who the actor who he's acting for is. They're just not going to do it. Let's see if I can bring up another picture here. Let's see if I can get that pulled up. There he is. Look at him. There he is in all of his devilish glory, if you will. Okay? Look at that thing. Look at that pile of something. Okay? They're trying to claim that thing right there is Joe Biden. Well, go take a look at some of the pictures of Joe Biden, the real Joe Biden. That is not him. Now, one of the other things we have running around, which I've said this before, think about this. We've got Joe Biden's son, right? Hunter Biden. He's running around. He's on crack. He's on meth. All his teeth are rotted out. Somehow collecting millions of dollars from like Ukraine and others. He's a board member on all these different things. See, a guy who can barely speak, drugged out of his mind, drops his laptop off. Remember this? Drops his laptop off to be repaired and forgets about it. Never comes back and gets it. And so the guy who's working on it goes on it and looks, and there's all kinds of pictures of him and prostitutes and doing drugs. I mean, it goes all over the internet. And they've got Hunter running around, and well, in Hunter's defense, okay, I mean, I think the guy to be lynched up personally, be put in jail from now on. He's done more crimes and has pictures and proof of him doing it, like taking pictures of himself, than any criminal, but he's scot-free, right? But in his defense, just a little bit, can you imagine actually being the son of Joe Biden and then something happening to the dad, Joe, and then being replaced with this fake, devilish-looking zombie, and then you're told you have to go along with it and you have to pretend that's your dad? I'm sure it would probably drive anybody to drugs, right? Or just to kill themselves. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, if somehow your parents all of a sudden were, for some reason, and all of a sudden now we've got a devilish fake body double that looks like something that literally crawled out of the grave, and you say, now listen now, that's your new dad. And you will call him dad, and you will go on TV and you'll tell people his dad, and you will hug on him and you'll love on him the whole 9 yards, and you'll be at his house. When the cameras show up, you're going to be eating dinner with the guy. You're going to go along with it the whole way. What would that do to your mind? And to say, and if you don't, well, then you'll end up like the dad, and then we'll put a replacement for you. Or, well, of course, you're not as important, so you'll just disappear. get in a car wreck, obviously OD, no problem. You'll disappear some way or another, and your laptop will support it. Say, oh well, he died of a drug overdose. Oh, you don't believe he took drugs? Here, look at these videos. He took drugs. So maybe that's why he's mental and deserves to be put in prison for the rest of his life as well. I don't know. But they've come out with this now, and I've said this before. This is not only him. And do you think this can't happen? Oh, it can happen. Just like Obama's daughters. Number one, the Obamas, Barry and Big Mike. Okay? They're both gays. They're both sodomites. They're both men. Big Mike or Michelle, also known as Big Mike, is a man. Okay? One of the actresses a long time ago, and I could show you the video, somebody mentioned something about somebody being gay, and this actress was like, that's not the first time. He goes, we have a trans in right now. And the guy's like, what do you mean? He goes, Michelle is a man. It's a trans. That's a transvestite. That's a man dressed up like a woman. Well, right after that, she died. After she went public with that. And so it's obvious, number one, that he's a man. But even if he wasn't, that's not their kids. The two girls are clearly somebody else's children. And then when they've actually got pictures of them with their real parents, and they look just like their real parents. So they were portrayed on TV as Barry and Mike's daughters, but they're not. Okay? And then when you see the real parents, they look exactly like the real parents. And come to find out, they're with the real parents all the time, where they're friends of the family. They're like loan a kid. Well, so they had their names and everything changed, whatever, Obama. Well, the one's already changed the name back, apparently, and said, I'm not going with that anymore. So they've got pictures of her, she's out smoking cigarettes. She's out hanging around. She does drugs, apparently, as well. And they even got pictures of her with Biden, with Hunter. Laying on the bed with Hunter, and he's got dope out on the counter, like a line of something. I guess cocaine. I don't know what you put in a line, cocaine, and the credit card laying there that they've scraped it into a line with has got like Obama's name on it. The daughter's name is on the card in the picture on the laptop, right? So she's there with the guy doing the drugs. Even used her credit card to scratch out a line. And they took a picture of it, or Hunter did, and then forgot, because he's a drugged out loser, and forgets it on the laptop. You get it? So his parents, or his dad, is clearly gone. Yeah. And so he's having to pretend that this Tales from the Crypt thing is his daddy, right? And here we have the Obama girls, or the oldest one anyway. She's having to do the same thing. She's having to go on live TV and parade around with Barack and Michelle and claim those two are her mommy and her daddy, when really they're both men. So what does that do to your mind when you're forced to do that? And everybody in the whole free world, right? Everybody on planet Earth, if you can call it a planet, everybody on this realm, terra firma, all thinks those are your parents. Now, the brain dead ones. Okay? If you know anything, you know that it's not the case. If you've ever followed my show or anybody else's, you know that that's not the case. But according to the news, they are the parents. And it doesn't matter how many times you can go online and you will see the real parents, and you'll see those two girls with the real parents, and they look exactly like their real parents. And even though you can see the picture of one of the daughters, the oldest one, with Hunter doing drugs, smoking cigarettes, And then there's article after article where she has denounced that they're her parents, which we knew that anyway. And she's changed her name back to the original. So they forced her name change too, you see. So I'm sure, what's going to happen to her? She can't come clean. Well, let me take that back. She can't come right out and say everything because the news would not report it. Because the news still reports that those two are Barack and Michelle's kids. The news is never going to report that Big Mike is actually a man, and that him and his sodomite partner Barry, okay, they're both just gay men. One is dressed in a dress and one isn't. You're never going to see that on the real news because there is no real news. It's fake news. So they're still reporting that, but you can find out otherwise on X all day long. And now we've got the Hunter deal, same thing with the Biden. And now we've got an actor coming out claiming that he's been pretending to be the president for 2 years. Imagine that. Starting to see why nobody trusts any of them. Starting to figure out why, all this money, all your tax dollars are just gone. And all these people like them are just filthy rich. Somehow, like even the Obama's oldest daughter, right? She's a multimillionaire somehow. Never worked a day in her life. Never done anything. But somehow she's a couple of, fake actor sodomites' fake daughter. And I guess that role plays quite a bit of money. It pays quite a bit of money to say, now listen, you're going to go on TV and you're going to pretend these two gay men is your mom and dad. And we're even going to change your name to theirs. And you have to go along with it, but don't worry. You'll be set for life. You'll be a millionaire. You'll have millions in the bank. In fact, you could even hang around with old Hunter and do cocaine. You can afford it. So do it. Just don't ever come clean. You're going to have to lie all the way to the grave. You got it? Because we don't want anybody knowing how big of a scam we're running. So you have to lie until you die. And the older she gets, according to what I'm seeing online, it looks to me like she's starting to kind of, don't want to go along with it quite so much anymore. And the other daughter, they said she just completely disappeared. She won't have anything to do with anybody. Well, why would she? You see the routine that's happening here, right? You can see it. Time after time after time, this same stuff happens. People are forced or coerced to do something. And maybe at the time it seems great because they take the money. Until a few years later, then they're like, wait a second. You mean I keep having to lie from now on? I've got to keep showing up to this guy's house and pretending he's my dad? Are you kidding? I don't want anything to do with that sodomite. Him and his transvestite wife? I don't think so. Oh, hey, yeah, you do. Well, it's like, whenever you signed me up for this, I was only 8 years old. Whenever you guys pretended I was this, well, I'm 38 now, and I don't want to go along with it anymore. Well, you're still going along with it. Or else. Because we're not going to admit to anybody that we lied. We're not going to admit that those were two men the whole time. So you're going to go along with it. Does that sound familiar? And of course, then they just kind of fizzle out, like the youngest one disappears. They won't have anything to do with anybody because they don't want to be asked any questions. Why would you? Real similar to the NASA, the astronauts. Remember that? They come down from their Apollo moon mission, first man on the moon, and their heads are all down. And it looks like they're about to cry. Looks like they just lost their dog. Won't speak. Can't agree on anything. Did you see stars? I don't know. What did you do? I don't know. Talk about depressing. Well, of course. Can you imagine that conversation? Listen, you didn't really go anywhere. You've been sitting back here in a Hollywood studio, right? Okay. But you're going to go out there on stage and you're going to tell everybody you went to the moon. And then you're going to lie about it for the rest of your life. Or else. Now, in the beginning, it might have sounded real good when the money came out, but now we've got to lie, and lie. Lie to your family, lie to your friends, lie to everybody from now on. Don't ever tell the truth. So, guess what they did? They all just disappeared. Won't do any interviews. The only one that would ever do anything was old Buzz. He started strong. He starts getting a little bit older. He all of a sudden starts telling the truth. He starts slipping. Then when people ask, well, what was the scariest thing that ever happened? He goes, scary? Well, it didn't happen. There was nothing scary because it didn't happen. He goes, it could have been scary, but it didn't happen. You know, a little girl says, why have you ever went back to the moon? He's like, good question. That's my question. But I think I know the answer. He goes, and it is, we never went. So because we never went, that's why we never went back. You see? He goes, we never went, and that's just a fact. So they had to shut him up. He don't get interviews anymore. You see what I mean? Now they've got a new one that's replaced him. And I'm trying to think of his name off the top of my head. But he's the one that did the interview with Bart Sabrell the other day, which I talked about it. He's the new Buzz Aldrin. Okay, he supposedly went to the moon later. And he still has his faculties. He's an old man, but he knows what he's doing, so he's eager to lie. So, and it's funny because you see this guy, and of course he pretends to be an idiot. They always do. So he's an old man, and you know, he sits there for a while, and all of a sudden he's like, what are we here for? Well, what, you don't believe we went to the moon? And of course the whole time Bart Sabrell's like, well, you know who I am. We just had this conversation before we got on the air and you knew all about it. Now all of a sudden you don't know anything now that the camera's rolling. Surprise. All of a sudden we're an 80-year-old dumb idiot that doesn't know anything. And so because they're going to put on that act, then people come on and say, well, how dare you accost that old man? All you people against that old man? What are you doing to him? Well, the camera kind of pans over to him. He's got this big smile on his face because he's eating it up because he's a liar and he's playing like an idiot, like he's forgot everything. That way, when you ask him a detailed question, I don't know. I forgot. All I know is we picked up some moon rocks. So all of a sudden, he's got a big fancy website put on by the government, of course, with all these fake pictures from the government, of course, and he gets paid to go around and talk to people and claim he went to the moon. He took Buzz's place, see? Buzz used to have that until he slipped up a few times and admitted he never went to the moon. So they're like, cut him. You're done. Same deal. We've got it now with the president. We've had it before. We've got it with the Obama girls. And God knows how many more that I haven't even looked into yet. So, anyway, there you go. I'm going to keep up on this. It's going to be real interesting if this so-called actor gets revealed and we get to see him. I want to see the actor and see his mugshot or see his interview and see how much he really looks like the supposed Joe Biden. I want his name and his picture. That's going to be interesting. So, stay tuned for that. Hopefully, we'll get to see that real soon. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dig up the articles where the Obama daughter is talking that she's changing her name and it won't have anything to do with them anymore. That'd be interesting too. Anyway, having said all that, let me wind this thing down. Thanks for listening. Check us out on TikTok, Patreon, YouTube. Of course, this one will be on Spotify. If you are on Spotify, please share it, like it, whatever. Yeah. And let me know. I've had a lot of comments on the name change on Truth Seekers Radio podcast. A lot of positive. And I've changed up the logo a few times. I'm trying to stick with the skull with the beard, maybe with a microphone, working on getting that worked up right now. So just stay tuned on that. But same podcast, same everything, just changing the name up a little bit. Anyway, thanks for listening. Oh, and by the way, again, I am going to be at the TrutherCon in Dallas, Texas. I believe it's Texas in November, the beginning of November. I've already got the ticket. I'm going to be a vendor. I'm going to have books for sale and some stickers and maybe some shirts. So it's on it's Flatborough website, but you can also go to truthercon.com and check that out if you wanted to go yourself. It tells everything there is to know about it. Anyway, having said that, also in the very near future, I have, if it works out, I have an interview scheduled, a podcast with Flat Earth Dave, and he's going to go over a lot of the Artemis fakery. So stay tuned for that as well. Thanks for listening. Until we meet again, God bless you.